Columbus, Wisconsin City Council meeting. We are meeting by Zoom tonight in order to protect citizens and staff from the spread of COVID. I have been receiving weekly reports from the Columbia County Department of Health, and according to the most recent report, COVID activity in Columbia County continues in the very high range, which is an increase from the high activity level from 6 weeks ago when we first reinstated the emergency order. Our city clerk, Pat Gable, will now take the roll.
Albright.
And don't forget to unmute yourself.
There you go.
Albright.
Here.
Arnold.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Modip.
Present.
Pifferone.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
All present.
Great. So if you are able, please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight's meeting has been noticed in accordance with state and local state statutes and local ordinances. And now I'm looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Alder Piper will make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Gray seconds.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, great. Moving on to correspondence and communications. This is a reminder that while we are meeting by Zoom, we are asking anyone who wants to speak at our meetings to sign up with City Clerk Pat Gable by noon on the day of the meeting. And Pat, I believe the only person who has signed up tonight is Police Chief Dennis Weiner. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so Police Chief Weiner, you have the floor.
Good evening. I will be very brief. I just want to remind everybody, it's been on social media, it's been posted around the city site and such, of the prescription drug kickback day this coming Saturday that I will be staffing from 9 to noon at the drive-up main entrance to Prairie Ridge Health for your unwanted, expired, unneeded prescription meds. You pull up, we'll approach you, you don't need to get out of your car, there'll be a no contact exchange, and we will dispose of them through the state who has a contract to dispose of them at no cost to us. We only ask that you cannot accept liquids, we cannot accept syringes or sharps, just pretty much prescription meds or pills that are expired or unneeded. And that was pretty much it. 9 to noon, drive through Prairie Ridge Health, and just pull the drive through and we'll be out waiting for you.
Thank you very much, Chief Weiner. We also need now to approve the consent agenda for tonight, and I believe we have an addition to the consent agenda. Is that correct, Pat Gable?
Yes, I do have one application for an operator's license for Emily M. Hallberg.
Okay, great. So we are going to include her in on the consent agenda tonight. And so I am looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Alder Modif will make a motion to approve the consent agenda for tonight.
Reed seconds. It has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, great. We're moving on to new business now. And under new business, the first order is to consider and take action on appointment for District 3 Alder vacancy. Tonight, we're going to be voting, the council will be voting, I won't be, to determine who will be filling two vacancies that we have on the council, one in District 2 and 1 in District 3. At our last meeting, we asked people in the community who lived in those districts to submit letters of interest to the city clerk, and those letters have been included in your packet tonight. We are going to start off with District 3, and we do have 3 people who submitted letters of interest. We are going to give each one of those candidates 2 minutes to, or more or less, to talk about why they want to serve on the council, what experience they may have had on other boards or commissions that would lend itself to city council. So I believe we have all 3 of the, yes, we do. We have all 3 of the candidates here tonight on Zoom. And when each candidate is finished speaking, council members may ask a follow-up question of the candidate if they wish. The 3 candidates here tonight are Adam Steiner, Michael Clark, and Nelson Cherry. And I think we'll just take the candidates in alphabetical order by first name. So Adam Steiner, you are first. You have a couple minutes to just let the council members know why you're interested in serving and what kind of experience you may have that would lend itself. So go ahead, Adam.
Thank you very much. I'm Adam Steiner, 442 West James Street. Most of you know my wife, Paula. She's been very active within the community, and while I haven't particularly served in any boards per se around the community, I do help her behind the scenes doing different things and, bouncing ideas off her for that type of thing and helping with logistics of a lot of the events that she's a part of. As she's part of the Chamber of Commerce, it takes a lot of helping hands in that type of situation. We've lived in Columbus for about 7 years, and kids go to the St. Jerome School here in Columbus. I work at the Woodmans. I've been working there for a good 17 years. I run the frozen food section, so I know about handling budget systems and dealing with organization of logistics and things like that. I think I could be contributing to the community. I just want to do my part and take on the honor of trying it and see what I can contribute to the community. And City Council offered the opportunity, and I'd like to take a stab at it.
Thank you very much. If any of the council members have a follow-up question for Adam, now would be the time to ask. And if you don't, that's fine too. Okay, so the next candidate tonight, alphabetically, would be Michael Clark.
Hello, Michael Clark, 230 North Ludington Street. I've lived here since 2007, was elected to council in 2014, and then was appointed to a vacant council seat in 2018. I've been through several budget cycles. I've worked with many of the people that are on the call. I also serve on the Cable Commission currently. And I don't have much more to add than that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any follow-up question for Michael Clark? Okay, and our last candidate tonight is Nelson Cherry.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying it out on a tablet. First time I've Zoomed with this. So I'm Nelson Cherry. My wife and I just moved here to 602 North Ludington Street. We're right across the street from Mullins in one of the old brick houses over there. They used to call it the Yacht Club, I believe. Right now I'm a stay-at-home dad. I was in the Air Force for 10 years. Met my wife in Afghanistan, really cool story, but she's still in, so I'm doing the stay-at-home, take care of the baby thing right now. We've been here, I'd say, about 2 or 3 years. I love this town. It's actually really nice. Everybody's really nice here. As far as experience, I was on the Airmen's Council, especially when I was in Germany. I did a lot there, actually. That was almost like a part-time job. I ended up getting free Wi-Fi for our dorms from the commander, which was nice. It was kind of interesting because we had to interface with the Germans. And yeah, I'm a little nervous, I'm going to be honest. So It's actually quite an honor to be considered for this. I really would appreciate it. I would devote all of my time and attention to this right now. So.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I cut you
No,
off?
no, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to ask if anybody has a follow-up question for Nelson, and thank you so much. I do want to thank everyone who sent in a letter and stepped up to do your civic duty. Now I am going to open the floor for nominations from council members for a candidate from this group of interested candidates for the District 3 Alder position. So nominations are open.
Mary, I would like to nominate Adam. He was actually going to be my nomination from 2 weeks ago, and he was still interested, even though we changed up the process. So I would like to make a motion for Adam Steiner.
So Adam has been nominated. Is there a second? So we have a nomination. We do need to have a second. Okay, I think we're going to have to move along. Would someone like to nominate someone else for this position in District 3?
Alderman Piper would like to nominate Nelson Sherry for District 3.
Thank you, Paul. Is there a second for this nomination?
I can second that. Alder Albright will second that.
Okay, is there any other nominations for District 3?
I would
I'll
like to
nominate Michael Clark.
I will second that.
Okay, great. Nelson Cherry and Michael Clark are the two candidates who have been nominated and seconded. So they are the two candidates that the council members will be voting on. And as originally, we had sent out messages to council members saying that we would vote for text, but then we later understood that this would constitute a secret ballot, which isn't allowable. So instead, we're going to ask each council member to vote by roll call for their choice for one candidate to fill the vacancy in District 3. And City Clerk Pat Gable will do a roll call, and she will record each alder's vote and will announce the results.
Make sure you hit your microphone.
Albright,
Nelson.
Gray,
Michael Clark.
Motive,
Michael Clark.
Piperone,
Nelson Sherry.
Reed,
Michael Clark.
Okay, Michael Clark received 3 votes, and Nelson Cherry received 2.
So Michael Clark has received 3 votes, which is the majority, and so he will be serving as alder in District 3 until the next election in April of 2022. Again, I want to thank everybody who sent in a letter and stepped up. We really appreciate you willing to take on this sometimes challenging duty. Okay, so welcome, Mr. Clark, and we will we'll be happy to have you join us. So then we're going to move on now to District 2. We have 2 candidates for District 2 who sent in letters, and again, those letters are in your packet. Amy Moberg-Rolke is here tonight, and Rod Milan. Rod, oh, there you are, Rod. Okay. And again, they're here to give us just a little bit of an introduction to themselves, a couple of minutes to talk about why they are interested in being on City Council, what kind of experience they may have had that would lend itself. So if, I guess what we'll do the same thing. We will go by alphabetical order. Amy, you can go first.
Okay, hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm Amy Moberg-Rolke. I live at 531 Park Avenue. I'm interested because I've lived in Columbus for 35 years with the exception of the 4 years that I was in college. So I was raised here from the time I was not quite 9 years old, and I've raised 4 kids of my own in this town. I was formerly the editor of the Columbus Journal, and then did 10 years as a stay-at-home mom. Currently, I'm the manager of the building department at Exact Sciences Laboratories. I don't have any experience on city council before, but obviously I covered both city government and school board as part of my job at the Columbus Journal. So I am familiar with Robert's rules and parliamentary procedure. And I just appreciate, this community and having been raised here and lived here for so long and have been looking for a way to give back to the community. And now that my kids are a little older, I feel that I have the time to devote to it. And so when this opportunity presented itself, I thought I'd give it a try.
Thank you very much, Amy. Does anybody have any follow-up questions for Amy Moberg-Rolke? Okay, Rod Malott.
So, I'm Rod Malott. I live on Vista Circle. The one question is, why do I want to be on city council? And the answer is, I don't want to be on city council. If I did, I would have run. But I've had 4 years of experience on city council, along with attending every city council meeting the year before that. I've been on the Community Development Authority, the Library Board, Parks and Recreation, Water and Light Commission, James Street Reconstruction Task Force. I'm currently on the Citizens Advisory Committee. I just felt that you guys, for 6 months, you guys need some experience maybe, and it's only 6 months. After that, I'm done, and someone else can take my place. But I've had experience for 4 budget sessions, and that's about it. Just experience, 6 months. I'm here to help.
Well, thank you very much, Rod. Anybody have any follow-up questions for Rod? Okay, I'm now going to open up the floor for nominations from council members from this group of interested candidates.
Oh, read motions to nominate Rod Malott.
Is there a second? Okay. So, is there another candidate that someone would like to nominate?
Alder Gray nominates Amy Rolke.
And is there a
I can
second?
second that.
Okay. Well, we've only had one candidate nominated who was then also seconded. So we are going to now do the same process that we did before. Roll call. Pat Gable will again ask you to indicate your choice and then read the results.
Albright,
Amy Rolke.
Gray,
Amy.
Morev,
Amy Rolke.
Pifferone,
Amy Rolke.
Reed,
Sure, Amy.
I'm sorry.
Well, I want to thank both of you again for stepping up and agreeing to try to help out. I really appreciate it. And Amy, welcome. You'll be with us for the next 6 months. And you will be starting in November when Paul's term on the council is finished. And my dog came in and sat on my notes and got them all mixed up. So here we go. Okay. So speaking of Paul, I just want to take a minute to thank Paul Pifferone for his service to the city. This will be your last meeting with us as the Alder representative in your district. You've served on a number of committees, and I think you intend to continue on as a volunteer on at least one of them, fingers crossed anyway. I personally appreciate the detail with which you read over the packet and did proofreading for us every week, Paul. And you were sure to let us know when we had any typos or mistakes. And I wish you all the best in your new home and in any future endeavors, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, okay, great. Now, we're going to move on to the next order of business on our agenda, and that is to consider and take action on purchasing a police squad car. And I believe, Dennis, you would like to also talk a little bit about this tonight.
Sure. I summarized a bit of it to the committee of the whole when it was first proposed. As part of our fleet rotation and management plan, we're in need of a squad car. We have one that's ready for retirement, and we're still using in a moderate capacity. Next year's budget was going to be a little tight, and I didn't want to get behind on our squads, as over the last 7 or 8 years, we purchased them hit or miss and found ourselves catching up a lot. So what this request is to use unused wage money from the vacancies that we've unfortunately had this year and not been able to fill, and to utilize them to purchase a new squad, to outfit it, and have it ready for patrol from 2021 unused wage monies. I'd be able to order it upon approval tonight, and with the way the world is going, I know someone that ordered a squad yesterday, another Ford, and they were told they're looking at least May. So try to get it ahead the best we can, and just keep rotating our vehicles out. I mean, the one that is ready for retirement has actually exceeded its life, and it's actually been a fairly good vehicle, and still operates okay with much higher miles on it than we normally run before we retire it. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, but we are in need of a new squad. And my request would be to approve the purchase of the monies that I have in the memo to come from unused wage monies 2021 from the police department budget.
Okay, thank you very much. I am looking for a motion to approve the purchase of the new squad car, as Dennis outlined, using unspent wages. Can somebody make a motion?
Alder Albright can make a motion to use unspent wages for the police squad, purchasing the police squad car.
Ray will second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of a squad car for the Columbus Police Department using unpaid 2021 wages. Is there any discussion? We'll do a roll call for this.
Gray,
Aye.
Motive,
Aye.
Pifferone,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Okay, we're moving down to item number 4 on the agenda, which is to consider and take action on the Dodge County stray animal contract for 2022. We talked about this at our last meeting. The city has contracted with the Dodge County Humane Society for the care and management of stray animals that are found in the city of Columbus, and this arrangement has apparently worked pretty well. The proposed contract has been reviewed and compared and to the 2021 agreement, and the details are outlined in your packet. This is something, again, that we would need to consider and take action on tonight. So I'm looking for a motion to approve this contract.
Reed motions to approve the 2022 street animal contract with Dodge County Humane Society for the lump sum of $1,300 for up to 5 domestic animals, and that Humane Society must have pre-approval before accepting.
Alder Piper will second that.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the Dodge County stray animal contract as outlined. We will do a roll call on this also.
Motive,
Aye.
Piperone,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Albright,
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, moving along to item number 5 on the agenda tonight. It's consider and take action on the Dodge County 911 Joint Powers Agreement for 2022. The city annually enters into an agreement with the Dodge County Sheriff's Department on a joint powers agreement. It lays out the 911 response roles for the Sheriff's Office and the Columbus Police Department, given the proximity of the two law enforcement jurisdictions. I am looking for a motion to approve this agreement.
Alder Gray moves to approve the 2022 Dodge County Joint Powers Agreement.
Alder Motive will second.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the Dodge County Joint Powers Agreement. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item number 6 is to consider a change of agent for Walgreens alcohol license. And a agent change to the alcohol license for Walgreens was submitted to the city clerk. A background check has been completed by the police department. There were no issues found. All fees have been paid. No inspections are needed, as this is a formality to change the name of the agent listed on the alcohol license. And so I'm looking for a motion to approve this.
Reed motions to approve Carol J. Howe as the new agent for Walgreens number 10396 alcohol license.
Alder Piper will second that.
Okay. So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the designated agent for the Walgreens liquor license agent. And is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Okay. The next item is to consider and take action on ordinance 760-21, an ordinance to repeal and recreate the ordinance to establish wards as part of the redistricting process in 2021 for the city of Columbus and Dodge County. And we held a special meeting on October 12th, and we approved 2 ordinances confirming the ward boundaries for Columbia and Dodge counties. After forwarding one of the ordinances to the Dodge County clerk, our clerk, Pat Gable, was informed that the incorrect supervisory district was named in that ordinance, should have been noted as District 20. So the ordinance will be repealed and recreated to show the correct supervisory district, and that's the county board supervisory district, as number 20. The county clerk is aware that we are making this change at tonight's meeting, and the updated ordinance will be forwarded to her after we pass it. I'm assuming we're going to pass it. And so I am looking for a motion.
Alder Gray will move to approve ordinance 760-21.
Alder Piper will second that.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve this ordinance, which updates the ordinance for Dodge County due to redistricting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, that ordinance passes, or that motion passes. Then the next item on the agenda for our meeting tonight is to consider and take action on claims in the amount of $131,147.53. And I'm looking for a motion.
Alder Kuiper will make a motion to approve payment of the claims read.
Laura Bright will second that.
It has been moved and seconded, and now, is there any discussion? Okay. Then we will do a roll call on this.
Motive,
Aye.
Piperone,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Albright,
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Now we're down to reports of city officers. So Kyle, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple things this evening. A reminder that our new city treasurer, Brandon Bledsoe, will start later this week and then start full-time next Monday. That's a really good time for us. We're pretty deep into the budget season, and that's kind of wrapping up relatively soon. But right after that comes the tax roll and the property tax collection season. So the timing's going to be really good. Hopefully he'll be able to jump on board quickly. He's familiar with Columbia County, so that should all be very helpful and should be a good fit moving forward. So we're all excited. I was asked by the Senior Center to remind everyone out in the community that may have borrowed medical equipment from them to return it as soon as they're done. Currently, about 80% of our equipment is on loan, and we're running low. And sort of building off of that, a reminder that we do loan items like walkers and wheelchairs. And so if you are in need, please contact Kim at the Senior Center Monday through Thursday between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., Fridays between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. And also, if you have any unused medical equipment like that, they also accept donations to help others throughout the community that may have a need for something like that. So just a reminder on that. And then finally, a reminder to the council members that we have our budget workshop coming up next week for any of those that would like to attend. If you have questions in advance, you can send them to me so that we can sort of get information ahead of time in case there are any kind of in-depth questions. But just a reminder that if there's anything out there, just to let me know. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Well, it's October, so there's a lot of Halloween stuff happening. I want to mention that the Columbus Fire Station is going to be the site of Safe Halloween from 4 to 7 o'clock downtown on Sunday the 31st. And this is sponsored by the Columbus Chamber and the Downtown Development Organization. And I mentioned, I think at our last meeting, that the Columbus Historical Society, which also runs the museum downtown, sponsoring an event on Halloween Day at the Hillside Cemetery. It actually starts at 9 in the morning, but it goes, I think, until mid-afternoon. It's called Shadows on the Hillside. And if you're interested in Columbus history, I think it would be pretty interesting. They're going to have local people dressed up as some of the settlers and some of the important Columbus personalities who are no longer with us and are now residing at the cemetery. And they are selling tickets for this event. It's $8 a person or $14 for a couple. And you can purchase the tickets at the Historical Museum downtown. I believe it's going to be open this Saturday from 10 until 2. And all those proceeds go to support the museum. The Columbus Recreation Department has a lot of activities that are happening this year. Next week is Freak Week. And so Amy Jo Myers, the head of the Recreation Department, asked if I would mention that they're going to have on Tuesday, they're going to have Crafty Yarn Monsters, a craft for, sounds like, well, kids from kindergarten to 5th grade. free at the lower level of the pavilion. Wednesday, they're doing a drive-in movie at Fireman's Park featuring Goosebumps, also free. I think they are asking you to register in advance for that. Thursday, they're having a Frankenstein craft puppet for kids in kindergarten through 5th grade. I'm assuming it's K-5. That means 5th grade. I think so. I don't. Yeah. Okay. And that's also that's also free. There is an event that I think they want you to sign up for, the Halloween Pumpkin Hunt, and this is for older kids, grades 5th through 8th grade, and it's going to take place in Kiwanis Park, where it's sort of like an Easter egg hunt, but it sounds like with pumpkins. So maybe they're little pumpkins. I bet they are. So you can sign up to find them in the park, and they want you to register for this. If you go to the Columbus Recreation Facebook page, I think you will be able to register for this online, and they're going to have, it sounds like it's going to be fun. So if you have kids in that age range. They're also going to have a community bonfire, and that's open to absolutely anybody who wants to go. And that'll be on the same day as the pumpkin hunt on Friday, October 29th. And that will be a little later in the afternoon, or in the evening rather. So she says to bring your lawn chairs, and they're going to have a pet costume contest. So lots happening. I would say, unless you had a pencil and you're writing everything down, go to their Facebook page. They have a lot of good information about activities on Halloween, and it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff going on. I also want to remind people that we've got our Small Business Saturday coming right after Thanksgiving in November, and that'll be the 27th of November, and it's also the Stop Shop and Sip with local and small businesses open for you to shop and try a little wine. Sadly, I received information last year. We were pretty excited about the holiday train. It's going to be virtual again this year. I got a letter from one of the organizers saying that after careful consideration, they have decided to shift it to a virtual event this year. They are going to host a virtual holiday train at home program. They are going to continue to support communities and food banks across the network. And they're going to be sending us more details in the future. But they just felt that given the uptick in COVID this year, they just didn't want to risk having a whole lot of people coming together. And apparently, I think we've had thousands of people come and attend this. So it is disappointing that we can't do this. I will have more information on that on the virtual train as I get it. And that is it for me. So now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this part of our meeting.
Alderman Pifon will make a motion to adjourn.
Alder Modoff will second.
So this part of our meeting tonight is adjourned. Thank you very much to everyone.
We have
obviously the people with dogs.
It is Tuesday, October 19th, and I'd like to call the Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole to order. If our clerk, Pat Gable, could take a roll call for us, please.
Albright,
Here.
Arnold,
Here.
Gray,
Present.
Motive,
Present.
Piperone,
Here?
Reed,
Here.
all present.
Perfect. Our meeting was properly noticed. So next up on the agenda is to approve the agenda. If there's no discussion or alterations, I'll take a motion to approve.
Alder Piper will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Alder Motive will second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect. Next up is citizen comments. I don't believe we had anyone signed up. Do we have anyone, Pat?
No, just Chief Weiner from the previous meeting.
Thank you. So moving on, we have the department reports. So in your packets, you will find the reports from the August recreation report, in September, the DPW, the fire department, the library, Lifestar, the police department, and the treasurer's report. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of them? All right, then moving right along. So item number 6 is to review and discuss the Stormwater Utility Task Order 2021-07. Kyle, did you want to start us off with that, or did we want to go to Jason?
I'll just give a quick intro and then kick it over to Jason. Essentially, this is the continuation of our stormwater utility discussion that we had 2 weeks ago. And what you have is the task order, and I think Jason will walk through the details of it. But essentially, this is sort of that next step in consulting services that would help us get everything finalized and formalized in the best way possible. And Jason, I'll let you go from there.
Thanks, Kyle. So, yeah, this task order is related to the stormwater utility. Primarily, it's going to focus on Rupert Milkie providing some support, or I guess some of the details behind it. You know, obviously, staff have been working on this, pulling some information together. You've seen a draft ordinance. You've seen some pieces of the fee structure. We've been talking about these runoff units for how the fee would be structured. The thing that we're missing, though, I think at this point, and that we're proposing on to assist with, is helping identify all of the parcels and applying those residential equivalent units to the commercial and industrial type properties. We do know as we move this forward, the question that comes up is going to be, well, what does my fee look like? And we know what that is going to be for the residential. We've established that, but we also have some administration fee that we're going to have to look at and how we're going to apply that. Some other questions have come up a little specifically to credits, and we've talked about that historically, I think a month or so ago. We haven't got into the level of detail yet to outline those credits, and I think staff was looking for us to help support a little bit of that. And then I think kind of important or kind of looming now is getting in front of the public and having a couple public informational meetings. So there is 2 meetings that we did propose in here after talking to staff. The first meeting obviously is more of the introductory meeting. We'll gather some feedback from that meeting, and then we plan on having another meeting after the first of the year once we get closer to the potential referendum. And at that point, that would be a follow-up meeting where we will have, obviously, a lot of the details finalized. We will have feedback from the public, and then we would hope to have that meeting to kind of address those concerns or issues kind of on the eve of the referendum, if you will, just so people are sure they have a clear understanding of that. And then the last piece of this was just to verify the calculations, and that would be the calculations that Matt with the city has been providing when he's been looking at generating these residential equivalent units. We're doing it off some aerial imagery and some measurements off of the GIS system. The question became that they'd like us to kind of QC that, if you will, and just check to make sure that those measurements have been accurately done and use a different method. We had proposed on using particularly our drone to put up and take some imagery of parts of the residential areas where we can then do that measurement accurately with survey grade technology, just to make sure that it's defendable. Because one of the things that all of these utilities that we've been involved in is we want to make sure that we express to the public that we've done our due diligence and we know that the information is accurate. Because if it's not accurate, then it's obviously very hard to defend, and then it loses the trust of people that will be obviously affected by it. So that's kind of the last piece of this. So there's a few pieces of this task order that we pulled together. We were kind of hoping that that would be kind of the nuts and bolts to get us to that, from now through that referendum period. So we kind of put that together, and so if there's any questions about what's in there, or if there's something that we don't want in there, we can certainly edit this or be flexible, but that's just from staff discussion. That's a little bit of what we thought would be a kind of a good check, good, provide some more detail, get these meetings scheduled, hold these meetings, and get that public feedback. So hopefully that meets the needs of what you guys are looking for, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to help or discuss.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. I do think that does meet a lot of what we were talking about before. Just a little bit of quick housekeeping, since this meeting is a little bit more interactive and we frequently discuss things. To make it easy on me, since we're all via Zoom, if any of you would like to ask a question or respond in any way, if you could physically raise your hand on your camera, that would help me out a lot. So, but with that, does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns? Go ahead, Trina.
I just had overall, I'm really liking the task order. I think it's going to be really helpful. Just questions on the breakdown of some of the expenses, like the public information meeting listed as being, possibly up to $4,500. Just wondering, what does that include, and is it including all the probable meetings or just one?
Yeah, so that's the total cost for both meetings, and what we would anticipate is that we'll do prep work, we'll provide a PowerPoint presentation, so we'll combine that. We will conduct the meeting, so we'll run it, we'll take the feedback back, we will have public comment, so there'll be forms that people can fill out that we'll put online, and we'll bring that back. And then probably where some of the cost really kind of resides with these public meetings is providing or producing responses to some of this information. So, as the meeting finishes, that's not really the end of, the effort in the staff's mind and my mind is, we're going to have to address some of these things and get that information back out to the public, whether we're launching that out on the website or if it's a Q&A, here's the questions asked, here's the answers or responses that we're providing, and then we can upload that. So there's more than just the meeting itself, but it kind of starts with scheduling the meeting, through conducting it, and then the follow-up piece. And then, like I said, if there is some question that there doesn't need to be a second meeting, this task order is kind of an hourly or time and materials base, so we can always decide that. We actually initially proposed it as a single public informational meeting, and I believe staff said, well, let's put one in there as a second one closer to that referendum, just for in case we feel like we need it. We can have it, but if we're doing a good job of launching information out and responding to questions, and we're not seeing a lot of concerns coming up, we could certainly eliminate that meeting, and obviously there's some cost savings then ultimately to our involvement. So.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Jason? I'm seeing none. I think this fits what we asked for, and I think we need to start moving forward with it as quickly as possible. So if it is the will of the council, I would like to see this move forward. Is everybody in agreement? Perfect. Thank you. So then on to our next item, slightly related, is item number 7 is task order 2021-08 for the stormwater study amendment. I don't know, Jason, did you want to start that, or do you have something to add first, Kyle?
No, I think Jason can kind of detail, it's kind of next step as we gather more information, but I think Jason should be able to kind of summarize that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jason.
Okay, thanks, Ian. So this was at the request of the discussion after the last meeting, and I hope when you guys read this that you do have questions, and if it isn't what you wanted or what you had in mind, please let me know. We took some notes down, Kyle and I compared some notes afterwards, and kind of came up with a little bit of approach. The stormwater bypass idea of how do we reduce flooding by getting water out of the Second Ward Creek and routing it a different way through the city to help relieve some of the flooding, that was pretty clear to me. I know we have to do some checking on culvert size, some grades, we have to look at some routes, we have to do some other things. After talking with staff, and particularly Jerry, he wanted us to look at a secondary route, which kind of crosses Waterloo Street and goes through the golf course. It is another route through the golf course, but it does serve the same purpose. It just reroutes water down by Kiwanis, so it's a little further downstream, and we know that the flooding down there is significant as well. So there's a large impact to your facilities and public works at that end. So we threw that in there as a secondary location to look at the bypass. But with the bypass, there's the field survey, there's running the model. We already have the model set up, remember, but we still have to go back, and as we pull water out of that model, we have to look at the water surface elevations and how they interact with our model to see how much of an impact that's going to make. And then ultimately, a couple other things, permitting. If we're going to consider this, we have to understand that it's permittable. If we're going to consider it, we have to know what costs are. And so we put that in there, and then I had just a quick report to kind of summarize the findings with a recommendation. So that's kind of the first piece of the task order that I broke out. The second piece, we spent some time, if you recall, talking about the dam. And the dam's kind of a very general topic, and I think there was a lot of questions about, well, what happens if we take it out? What about downstream? What about upstream? Well, what we know about dams is that they have an influence on the water surface upstream and downstream. So the first thing I did after we met last time was I made a call to the DNR and had some discussions about how do I answer these questions that the city is asking me? What's the best approach in your mind? And these are the hydraulic modelers. These are the stormwater floodplain people for the DNR. And so we talked through it, and that's kind of what I summarized here is we're looking at, there is a model very similar to the hydraulic model we created for Second Ward Creek. There is a model for the Crawfish River. And so it was kind of after some discussion, we decided, well, we can start with that model. We can look at what the flooding elevations and water surfaces are in these storm events, and then we can take the dam out. We can physically remove the impoundment, and we can run the same scenarios and see what happens to the water elevation. And by doing that, we should be able to determine how far upstream and downstream the dam does cause influence on those water surfaces. That will give us a good understanding. A lot of questions were, what if we take the dam out? What does that do to the bridge downstream? If we take the dam out, how far upstream does that affect? And as a result, I think what I would like to be able to determine is it's not just Second Ward Creek that's affected here. We have storm pipes that come off of North Water Street. We have storm pipes that come off of Whitney Street. So there's several pipes that drain into this that it could be more of a benefit than just can we get water out of Second Ward Creek? Yes, that's what we were talking about. But I started to realize that there's secondary, tertiary benefits to looking at this influence of the dam and what that does to take it out. So we're now starting to expand out into maybe even a little bit more of this comprehensive idea of how stormwater is throughout the city and not just Second Ward Creek. So in our study, or I called an amendment to the study because I think it's really just kind of moving forward from the original study. But we looked at running those scenarios with removing the dam, determining what impacts those are downstream of the dam, and are there other areas that are flood prone that we would help alleviate with removal of the dam. With that, we would obviously take all those tailwater conditions, situations, or water surface elevations, if you will, and we'll insert those back into our Second Ward Creek model and run those scenarios with that model too to see if it's really the dam headwaters holding the water drain out of Second Ward Creek back, or is it the restriction of James Street culverts underneath the road? Because if it's James Street, removing the dam may not make a difference. Maybe enlarging the capacity under James Street is more of the issue. We just don't know what's holding that water back right today without looking into it more. So with that being said, then we looked at, okay, same with permits. What's it's going to take to remove the dam if that is a viable recommendation. And then dredging came up, and we do believe that if the dam is out, dredging would factor into this. And I think, Ian, you might have brought that up, or somebody did, and I apologize if I don't remember. But I think it's worth a look, and I agree that there might be some dredging requirements that will help as well. If the dam is out, we drop the water surface. And I think my quick look was, I think the dam's holding back somewhere around 9-10 feet of water. So again, the differential between upstream and downstream is fairly significant. So once we take that out, we know we're going to have some exposed sediment. So we'll look at that. And then there's obviously, I put same thing with cost. You know, if there was a cost to remove the dam and some cost for dredging, what would we anticipate that to be? And then we'd summarize those findings. So I didn't want to make this scope too comprehensive and too much, but I felt like there was a lot of information here that we talked about that we tried to summarize in this task order tonight. So again, if there's pieces of this that we're not ready to look at, we can take those out. If there's pieces that I didn't have in here that you still feel that you'd like to see looked at, we can put those in. But I thought this would be a good starting point for conversation. And I just want to let you know that you know, I've spent some time working through this with staff, and I spent some time talking to the DNR a little bit about what would make sense. How would we answer some of these questions? And I feel fairly confident that this is a good approach, but I want to be respectful to the council and make sure that I'm working for what you need, not necessarily trying to solve every answer, every problem.
Thank you, Jason. I do think this is a much more holistic approach, and it could potentially answer a lot more of the questions that we had. The biggest problem with the stormwater and flooding is there are so many different aspects of it, and there are so many different contributing factors that looking at the Second Ward Creek alone isn't going to do us justice long term, I don't believe. So this is helpful. My only thought is whether or not we do this now prior to establishing a stormwater utility, or if we wait until after. I can see it both ways of it being beneficial to have it going into a stormwater utility. The more information we have, the more we can give to our constituents, and the more that we can provide, the better. But I would also really love for the stormwater utility to start paying for a stormwater. So I'm kind of two minds that way. So I'd like to open it up to council for thoughts or questions or concerns. Go ahead, Sarah.
I think we owe it to our constituents to do this now. I think if we wait for the implementation of the stormwater utility, then we'll, in addition to that time frame, have to wait for funds to be collected. So I think we need to make this a priority now.
And I do respect that. We can, if the stormwater utility is created, though, we can borrow and use those funds. And so we could do things more quickly than waiting for funds, just so that we all understand that. But I I do respect that. I think having a plan before the stormwater utility is adopted is a very beneficial thing. Shelley had her hand up next.
Yeah, so I agree with Sarah. I think the sooner the better, and the reason why I say that is because when we go to the public information meetings, I remember when the dam failed because Rotary Park was not very pleasant and it was lots of weeds and whatnot. And so I think if removing the dam is something that ends up being a possibility, I think we should also have answers for the city residents that use the Rotary Park with their kids for the kayaking, and what kind of dredging or what kind of cleanup would be required. I think that's important for the city, for the residents to understand what if we have to remove the dam, what that means for the recreational aspect of the river.
Right, so you're saying that you would like us to be able to convey to our constituents that if this is our plan forward, this is what we're going to do to continue
Exactly.
it.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect. I think that's a good point. Go ahead, Paul.
Would it be possible, this is for Jason, would it be possible to, with these scenarios that are run, to record, are these like 3D or like are these computerized? Is it possible to record these and then maybe be able to show council how these are actually, scenario A is this and you can see the water rising. Scenario B is this, and then maybe that also be at the listening session so everybody has the best visual onto what, like this one, if you do this, then this happens. If you do this, then this happens, and you can see it happening in front of them.
Yeah, the modeling that everything is established off of right now is called a HEC-RAS model. That's kind of the industry standard to hydraulically model. It is a 2D model, so what it does is it just gives us a surface or a water elevation at key cross sections or points that are established. There is a model out there called a SWIM model. That's a three-dimensional model that you can do some pretty cool renderings and kind of flood extent mapping off of. I won't lie to you, anything cool costs more money. And with, I think what we were trying to determine here is just impact of flooding and elevations of water surfaces. That's what the flood FEMA maps are all based off of, the same type of model. So at this point, we're not doing any depth analysis or three-dimensional modeling. Not saying that it couldn't be done at some point, but it's a much more extensive process.
Understood, fair enough, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Trina.
For myself, I could go either way for trying to put this task order through now or waiting to after the vote on our new possible utility. I guess this could be used as a bit of a carrot for what we could do when such a thing existed, when we're having the meetings with the community on what we'd like to find out and what we're thinking of accomplishing for a big holistic project. So I can go either way.
Thank you, Trina. And I mean, I totally respect that position. It sounds like most of the council is wanting to move forward with a study prior to. And I totally understand that, and I can be on board with that myself. I think having the more information we have to our public when we're trying to establish a utility is beneficial. So is it the will of the council to move this forward to our next regular meeting? Seeing lots of nodding heads. And Trina and I are both okay with it, so it sounds like we should move this forward. Is that good enough direction for staff, or do you need anything else from us?
Nope, I think that covers it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Jason, so much for doing all this. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the different avenues, and I think this is so much more inclusive of a study and a look at our stormwater than what I've ever known to have existed. So I'm really happy for that. Thank you. Moving on, Next up is item number 8, to review and discuss the Wisconsin Professional Police Association promotions policy. And we have Chief Dennis Weiner here with us.
Great. Good evening again. What's in front of you and what you've seen in the packet is the result of, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my reading on. The result of, we have 2 vacancies. One of them is a sergeant and one of them is a patrol officer. I have one of the patrol officers that I am going to be offering a promotion to sergeant to. And during the course of that and reviewing some of the language in the current collective bargaining agreement, we realized that if there's a promotion within the collective bargaining unit, the issue of probation is not addressed, a probationary period. So then what typically happens when it's not covered in the collective bargaining agreement, it falls on city policy. And that's also part of what you see included in your documents. Under letter K, it would be specifically the 3rd paragraph. Under paragraph K, promotions and transfers. The last section of the 3rd paragraph is actually conflicts with state law regarding the termination of police officers. There has to be there's a due process and it has to be for cause and several things. And in the city policy, it says that if it doesn't work out, they may be offered a position if one is a comparable position, if one is available, and if not, they may be terminated. And that conflicts with a state law regarding the termination of police officers. So what is in front of you is the city attorney, labor attorney, C.O.W. wrote it. He calls it a side letter. It's often referred to as an MOU or memo of understanding. And all it really does is articulate that someone promoted within the union to the sergeant's position, because the sergeant position is in the union, will have a 6-month probationary period, and then they can also request to return to his or her former rank if they wish. So all it is just putting something, it's memorializing something on paper that probably should have been there in the first place, and we both realize that. Again, this was written by the city's labor attorney. The union has reviewed it and approved it, so it's really just a formality. And then also, once this is approved, it'll become part of the next contract. It'll be a permanent record that's included in the contract from this point forward. And then also, just in case there's any curiosity about the one paragraph where it talks about being absent for more than 3 days during the probationary period, this particular employee is due to go on FMLA soon due to the birth of a child. And all we are doing is recognizing that we want them to have a 6-month period in the position. So let's say he took the 3-4 months of family leave. He would only have 3 months, in theory, on the job of probation, in a probationary status. So all that is just clarifying, like someone that takes family leave, their amount of time on probation is going to be extended by the amount of time that they took. And again, written by the city's labor attorney, the union has agreed with it. There's really nothing, no one benefits either way. It just puts on paper to the benefit of both parties.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Did anyone have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Shelley.
I just have a question. It's not like I'm Paul and I'm not very good at reading stuff or proofreading, but there's a line at the bottom about city administrator reserves the right to determine the use of all flex time. And then the top, it kind of says department head / city administrator. Was that supposed to be that way, or is that is it missing?
In which of the documents?
It's the very bottom, page 8.
So I believe, Shelley, that's a copy out of our existing personnel manual.
Okay.
Correct. That's a current city employee manual. The only part of page 8 that is part of this is the letter K, promotions or transfers. I just included this document to show what exactly the city policy manual covers regarding that, and so that I could further explain why it didn't meet the statutory criteria. Anything other than K on page 8 is not relevant to what we're really talking
Okay,
about tonight.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Shirley. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, perfect. Is everyone comfortable moving this forward to the next regular? Awesome. Lots of nodding heads. So thank you so much, Chief. And
Thank you.
then moving on to item number 9 is to review and discuss recreation registration program recommendation. And we have Amy Jo here with us tonight. Would you like to head that us off? Thank you.
Well, time flies. It's been about a year since City Council has agreed to go with ActiveNet for one free year. Our contract is set to expire at the end of this year on December 31st. The past 3 or 4 months, Recreation Committee members have been experimenting with 3 different types of software, and we did narrow it down to 2 of them. We came up with MyRec as being our favorite. Personally, for a staff side, it is a very easy template to use as far as copying programs, memberships. You can't have duplicate customers. There's just so many benefits with MyRec. It automatically creates rosters, memberships. There's just so many things to do, and it's actually one of the least inexpensive ones between the 3 that we came up with, and it has more features. So, and one of the things that I really think stands out is with the Landscape Recycle Center, currently people are getting rearview mirror hangers with the stickers that they bring to the Landscape Center. MyRec actually has a feature where it can create a barcode that, similar to like a pool membership, each resident would have a card that's printed out, and then the Landscape Recycle attendant can just scan that card, and it would keep track of every time a resident went there, what they were dropping off. So it is many, many uses with the system that we can benefit from. So I'm just asking for approval from council members for us to move forward with MyRec.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy Jo, and thank you for looking into all of the different options. I very much think that's an excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Trina.
Hi, Trina.
Hello, Amy Jo. So I'm very excited to hear about the new Payment Plus type of program that we're looking into. Just want to make sure we're going to be very careful on sending the proper notices to our previous payment company, because I remember the contract being very stern, and
The contract was signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct in saying that, but the contract was signed. It does terminate at the end of the year, and I have been in correspondence with them back and forth. They are actually helping me create a report because there are some customers that have credit balances that we're going to refund them their amounts rather than transferring it to a new program. So, good advice.
No, thank you. I just remember all of the drama from years ago of getting stuck with them again.
No, I believe we are done. That contract was signed and sealed with Kyle and Attorney Johnson, so we're moving forward.
Excellent.
I'm excited.
Thank you very much for that, Trina and Amy, and I remember that as well, so I'm excited to hear that myself. Is there any other questions or comments? Everyone is comfortable moving forward with the recommendation? Okay, perfect. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much, Amy.
All right, thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too.
Yep.
And then next up is item number 10 to review and discuss the fire department revised position descriptions. This is pretty lengthy. I hope all of the council members had time to review all of these prior to the meeting, because we don't really have time to review all of them in the meeting, to be honest. And we have the fire chief here with us. Would you like to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Evening, everybody. In my memo I sent out is just reviewing, not to take up a lot of your time, basically trying to give the fire department more structure, more everybody knows who's answering to who. Everybody knows their responsibilities. If you had time to, any of you had time to go through the old descriptions, I had one captain job description, one lieutenant job description. We have 3 of each. So now everybody's answering to somebody, and they have their separate responsibilities and roles, and it just makes more sense. One of the things I saw when I moved here is that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's more of status than it was of responsibility. So trying to get rid of the status, and a lieutenant is a lieutenant, a captain is a captain, and they answer to their higher ups. So I guess pretty much my memo explained it all, and I don't have a whole lot more to add to it unless anybody has any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate all the amount of work that you put into this. This was definitely not an overnight project, and from what I've looked at everything, it does make more sense, and I agree with it personally. I think it's a great direction. Does anyone have any comments, questions, concerns?
I just have
Go
the same
ahead.
comment. They're extremely professional. I really appreciate the work that you put into these.
Thank you. Trying to make it better. And sorry for all the noise yesterday, everybody.
There was a lot.
Crazy day.
It was a busy day.
We had 5
Full moons
calls
will
in
get
one
us.
day. Yeah, 5 calls in one day. We can't remember the last time it happened, so.
Thank you, and we appreciate you responding to all of them promptly.
Okay. Thank you.
Is everyone comfortable moving this forward? Anybody have any questions or comments on any of the positions? Maybe Trina's puppy, but other than that, it sounds like we're good. All right. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night.
All right, take care.
Next up is item number 11, to review and discuss the Human Resources Administrator position description. Kyle, would you like to head us off on that?
Sure, thank you. Late in 2019, when the interim city administrator was here, they were working on filling an existing position, which was at the time a confidential administrative assistant, and I believe the position had really evolved over time to have a large human resources component to it. So as they changed it at that time, what they kind of failed to carry forward were some of the more administrative duties that go along with that position, even though those duties continued on during late 2019 and into 2020 and into the current day. So what we wanted to do as we prepared for this recruitment was make sure that the current duties that have been in place since late 2019 are represented in the position description. So that's what we have in front of you. And I guess we'd be looking for any feedback that there might be on changes or edits. And if the position description looks good the way it is, to move forward and advertise the position with the draft information out there so that we can get the recruitment going as fast as possible.
Thank you, Kyle. I think that the position description as you have it fits what we were looking for and what we were looking for prior as well. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Trina, you were with us when we did this last time. Did you review everything? Does this, I mean, you have more background knowledge than most.
I read over it. I'm feeling comfortable. And again, yeah, we were just correcting something that didn't quite make sense for confidentiality-wise. So I think it's looking fine.
Perfect, thank you. I feel the same way. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is everyone comfortable moving this forward? Perfect. Thank you so much, Kyle, for reviewing that and altering it in the necessary ways.
All right, thank you.
I'm hopeful that we will get a great candidate very soon. So next up, let's see here, we have item number 12, which is to review and discuss the 2022 proposed budget for publishing. And of course, Kyle, we would love for you to head us off on that one as well.
All right, so attached is the proposed 2022 budget, as the council president mentioned. Compared to the version you received a few weeks back, very little has changed. There might be $50 more in the animal contract to match the actual cost of the contract we just approved tonight, but everything has stayed relatively stable. As we've been talking about it, the tax levy increase would be just over $33,000, or just under 1% from last year's levy. We don't have all the information yet to know what the assessed value is for the community, so I don't know the tax mill rate that would be attributed to the city that would show up on the tax bills yet, the property tax bills. I do know that as we look at the equalized value, that's dropping by about 2%, the tax rate would. But we don't pay our property tax on the equalized value, we pay it on the assessed value, so I can't say whether that rate is going to go up or down. I just know that on an equalized basis, the tax rate is dropping. I wasn't sure if there was any specific questions, but we are having the budget workshop next week, and I'm also available one-to-one, as always. The remaining steps, as it says in the memo, tonight we're reviewing the document. What we would like is the approval or the consensus to move this forward and publish this. The next step in the process involves having a meeting that includes a public budget hearing, and we have to have that published at least 15 days before that meeting. So if the council is comfortable with the budget, or if they want to recommend any changes now, we would incorporate that into the publishing that happens. Just to reiterate, though, up until the point that the city council votes to adopt the budget, we can make any changes that the city council desires, even if it doesn't match what was published. The goal would be to have your publishing match exactly, but I don't want anyone to feel that once we approve the publishing, you're locked in, because that is not the case.
Thank you, Kyle. Does everyone understand that this is publishing, it's still a draft budget, it's not the final budget, alterations can still be made, but we need to get it published, so he's looking for permission to move forward with getting it published. How does council, everyone's, lots of nodding heads, everybody's good with moving it forward to publish? Okay, perfect. Nice and simple, probably the fastest budget item discussion I've ever been witness to. Thank you so much, Kyle. And then next up on our agenda is item number 13. And this is to convene to closed session per 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Do I have a motion to convene to closed session?
Holder Motive will make a motion to convene to closed session.
I have a motion.
Alder Parker will second that.
Perfect. I have a motion and a second to convene to closed session per 19.851C. All those in, well, let's take a roll call, please, Pat.
Arnold?
Yes.
Gray?
Aye.
Motive?
Aye.
Pifferone?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Albright?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Perfect. We will now convene to closed session, and we will not be coming back on to the air. Thank you, everyone. And since this is our first Zoom